Morning. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and we are evolving every day in every way with information on how we connect, communicate, and play. Today, I want to get right into the subject at hand, getting ready for more early morning clients. Yes, making sure that my brain is connected to my mouth. And I like to do that by checking with you guys first and all that jazz. Well, one of the things that came through, I had a couple of channelings this morning. One was Thumbelina, so I'm going to teach on that here shortly in the next live. And then the other is this: if there is a sex spell, yeah, Thumbelina, wild, right? It was so wild that I had to go research it. It was a favorite childhood story of mine, but I remember things about it, and I'll explain it in the next video. And my angels were like, teach on this because someone needs to understand about settling and everything else. So I didn't understand it until I researched it again. So interesting. Pay attention to your angels, guys. They're always communicating. Thumbelina, wild. Anyway, so what I will tell you about the sex spells and this: if you're a divine feminine here listening and you've been in the throes of a powerful fight with a masculine that you love, or anybody of that nature, or anybody, forget if it's a romantic situation, whether you've given them all these magical names or not, and you are like, I don't understand, it's a third party thing, da 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 da, all those triggering words that are triggering at that point in your life, if they're under a sex spell, abandon ship. Let me explain that sexual energy is our most powerful energy, and it's our most powerful form of magic and transmutation and connection. If someone is sleeping with someone who is of a low vibration, they are now assimilated. They have their demons, they have their karma, they have their dharma. It's a lot. And it's something that is underrated and not often talked about. We just hear, like, think about if you were raised Catholic upbringing, the nuns, popping you on the wrist with the ruler and being like, stay a virgin forever. Part of that is about your sexual connection. They didn't explain it, and Kundalini energy and all the rest of it. I have here on this channel in various ways, but one of the things that you need to understand is this: is that your sexual energy is pervasive and it's intense. And we fall for people because they're actually massaging our cervix. So that's a real thing that happens for us women. So if we're getting like a great like session of sex and someone is bringing us to orgasm, they're stimulating our cervix. That part of our body is connected to our heart chakra. So that's how you will fall for an F boy or an F girl, depending on your preference. And you'll be like, oh my God, I'm so in love, because you're opening yourself up quite literally to somebody. I'm not anybody's prude. I love sex. Do it in the outside, do it in the nude. I don't care. But what I will say is that for us empaths and for us divine feminines, we do have to have a bit of like hold back with who we share that with, because it can get toxic, and we can get toxic easily. We can get corrupted easily. I was able to put that to the test in my life by separating my sexual energy with somebody who I had no problem sharing it with at a certain point. And my angels gave me specific instructions, and they were like, stop touching this person, stop dealing with this person, stop having any kind of sexual energy exchanges with her, because it is going to get you caught up and have you have a life, you'll be living life in a blur. So what that meant for me is I was able to do spiritual warfare in a much cleaner, better way, because I had separated my sexual energy. So any advance that she gave, anytime she hit on me, anytime she threw herself at me or did anything, and I'm not just saying that to sound like extra like magical, I'm telling you, these were realities. I didn't take it. And it wasn't because I wasn't attracted, or it wasn't because it wasn't a temptation. It wasn't because I wasn't human. Come on, y'all, I'm human. It's because my angel said, we've got work for you to do, son. And it's not with her. And you have to be very careful who you share your sexual energy with. If you're going through a breakup, let's say it's just your regular partner, you may notice that, sorry, I was just getting a reminder from my client. My calendar is working brilliantly. You may notice that you have I lost my train of thought. Sexual partner, da 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 da. What was I saying? Pulling away. Oh, if you're going through a breakup with your partner, you may notice that you stop being sexual. That is definitely a precursor. It doesn't always have to be, but when I'm counseling couples and stuff like that, and they're like, we haven't had sex in this many times, months, years, whatever the case may be, I'm always like, red flag on the play, because our sexual energy is powerful and it connects us. So if you are in a party situation, pardon me the coffee, if you're in a third party situation, understand that your sexual energy is powerful and it connects you, okay? So you're now connected to that third party and connected to them if you guys are all still sleeping together. And sometimes our carnal natures are hard to suppress. So I'm not going to say that it's not hard to not sleep with your ex or your ex to be or whatever the case it may be, but you have to really try to control that and lasso that in. When you are battling in that third party situation, um and someone, if you're like, let's say you're trying to talk common sense. I hear this so many times from my divine feminines. You're trying to talk common sense to your masculine, like, this person's going to ruin your life, this person's going to cause so much strife. You're trying to like get them to see the forest for the trees. If they're under the sexual energy of that person, it doesn't matter. You could do 7 backflips. You could write war and peace for them. You could submit to them the Geneva Convention. You could sit down with NATO treaties. They are never going to hear you because sexual energy makes you blurry. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, think about what it feels like to see something blurry. If any of you guys were contacts, or if any of you guys have ever had any sight impairments, or to ever looked at a screen that wasn't clean, like, we all have devices in our hands. So, when you have to clean your screen, or you're taking a picture and you need to clean your screen, their screen is blurry. They're not going to see it. And so I tell you to leave that situation in a hurry instead of trying to fight it and trying to get them to see the forest for the trees. What you become is persona non grata, which is enemy number one. You become the person that's trying to ruin their fun because good sex will make you dumb. They would say young, dumb, and full of cum. Well, we have all been that at some point. But when you are in the throes of that, that's why when you're seeing someone go through a midlife crisis, message that maybe for someone here watching, when you're seeing someone go through that, you can't stop that, because whatever they have decided is the new young hot magical thing is the thing they're going to gravitate to. And if there's sex involved and they aren't getting it from you, or they are getting it from you, because I've heard that too, where people are like, well, we had a great sex life, I don't understand what happened. But new always trumps what you know. That's hard to hear. And that doesn't mean, and that's for people that are immature and don't have any self control, and whatever the case may be. But you are not going to battle someone who is under the thrall of someone else's sexuality. And people that are lower vibrational know that they have that to use. I know we all have been in our 20s and dated a couple of dudes or gals that were horrible people, were absolute bums and losers, but man, the stroke game was on 10, right? I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, but I have been there for sure, where I was like, you are absolutely worthless, but this sex, oh, I don't know. And that's what I mean about your cervix being massaged and your heart chakra being open. It's not that you're so in love with the person, it's that the sex is good and it's interesting and maybe exciting, or whatever the case may be. Sex is a powerful form of spell work and energy, okay? So I do not recommend that you get into the trenches and try to fight somebody. If you're like, oh my God, he's sleeping with her, or she's sleeping with her, or whatever the case may be, you lost them, buddy. And I know that, I don't know if you clicked on this thing and I was going to tell you like some way to set them free. No, there's no way. Abandon ship. I meant what I said in the title. Stop trying to fight it, because sex is so powerful that once someone connects that way, it's a wrap. And if you start disconnecting from your partner sexually, then there might not be any looking back. Sometimes there'll be moments where celibacy happens in your relationship, or where it happens in your life, whether you're not in a relationship or not. And it could be so that you can be doing some emotional or powerful growth. Or a lot of people that are on their way to divorce are not sleeping with their partners. That is something I know. And that's the reason that therapists will say that often. Like, what is your sex life like? Are you having it this many times a week or whatever? And we all make our own normal, so don't get caught up on like the time scale and the amount of times. Whatever works for you and your partner is what works for you guys. But connecting is what matters. Physical touch, bonding, oxytocin release, this is what matters. And that's what's happening with whomever the third party is, if they're doing that. And if it's new, and even if you're sleeping with them and blowing their back out too, what's happening is that new will override whatever you're doing, and you can't win. And you'll say, what do you mean I can't win? I'm their person, I'm their actual person. Yes, but do you guys see how they will treat you? You guys see the horror stories of people that have been absolutely defeated by trying to come against that? Now here's the good news about sexual energy when it is cultivated in a lower vibration. This is something that I didn't understand until I went through it. um in my case specifically, I was spiritual. The person that the person connected with was religious, right? And they had a religious spirit as well. They always struggled with my version of spirituality. Even though they adopted it, they struggled with it. And so that person was a better fit. Now you add some good dirty bad sex that shouldn't have been happening, which who doesn't love dirty bad sex that shouldn't be happening, and then that makes it trumps anything I could do. Plus I wasn't getting in the trenches sexually with that person too, so it was like it was a perfect storm. I wasn't going to get my energy mixed in with their disgustingness. And not disgusting because of sex, y'all. Again, I love it and you should love it too. But they were low vibrational, and my angels were like, this is not for you, this is not for you, sis. And so they asked me to resist, and I did. And I am so grateful that I did. But in that moment, those two religious spirits could be, having all their taboo energy and all the rest of it. And even though I could see how things were going to go, my angel said, just sit back. It's something that you'll have to experience to grow. Yeah. So some of you guys that are trying to rescue your masculine or your third party person or whatever the case may be, even though they're treating you like crap and treating you crazily as they downtrodden you with this third party, what I will tell you is this: it will always break. Whenever you do magic, it doesn't hold, for goodness sake. Do you hear me? When someone does magic on you, when you're in sex, magic is magic too. And if you want to add a heaping of there, like a dark witch or something else, and sure, whatever. But if someone is doing just sex is magic, period. Okay. The act of an orgasm is an alchemical spell. Both of you guys coming together, guys, this is magic. Okay. It is body magic that we create. We are very magical, and the women who create life, we are magic. Okay. Stop, get out of all this puritanical stuff. It's not pagan to know that you are more than enough and that you are a creature of wonder and worth. Okay. And so what I will tell you is that when they are in the thralls of all of that, that's how they will suck them in. Hot, good sex, and maybe some drugs are thrown in, and you name it, and they keep going and going. When you're trying to say, I want to break the spell, you can't. Magic that is done with the intention of keeping someone stuck to them, which is usually what a lower vibrational person will do. Keep sleeping with me, keep sleeping with me, keep sleeping with me. That's why. And it reminded me last night, I was talking about Amber Heard and Johnny, and she was like, just hug me just one more time, just look at me. And he instinctively knew. There was an audio, and I keep saying I'm going to put it on my community page. I'm going to find it for you guys today. He instinctively knew, almost like she was Medusa, not to look into her eyes, not to be seduced by her again, not to let her physically touch him. He was repulsed by her. It doesn't mean he didn't have attraction. He was attracted to her. He thought she was young and hot. He upgraded. He did the cliche, classic midlife crisis thing, discarded his wife and his kids and the whole thing, and went after this debaucherous, succubus, demonic energy that Amber Heard is. She is soulless. And I'm not saying Johnny's perfect, but I got to tell you, I'm looking at a soulless creature who with borderline personality for sure. And the consensus is, the general consensus is what it is. So for a reason, there's a reason that empaths are watching that trial and they're creeped out by Amber, because we recognize it, So and I recognize that energy, the Amber Heard energy, in the third party. Do you understand? And I was like, don't you see? Don't you see? And I wanted to rescue the person that I cared about at the time. But I realized what I heard from the Amber Heard party is she's already mine. Do you get it? She'd already sold her soul. She'd already given herself over. Amber is cray Masonius. Good morning, Monette. He says, Amber is cray. And the third party that I was dealing with was cray in the same exact way. Histrionic. I'm going to kill myself. Just look at me, Johnny. Hug me one more time. All of that. And my person was weak AF and fell for anything. And she was also crazy too. So it was like two crazies together. And my angel said, what you going to do? I said, nothing. They said, we're going to give you an amazing life and we're going to compensate you for your pain and suffering. But don't try to get in the middle of a sex spell, because it will be you that is suffering. And they said the sex spell will break. So what they explained to me is this, and this is what I want you to know. Hey, Chalk. Hey, I love when you catch me live. Chalk from West Africa is here. Shout him out in the comments, all the way from West Africa. What time is it there? It's 9 a.m. where I am Eastern Standard Time. But anyway, so what I will tell you is this. You cannot you cannot make them resist what is pulling them in. Also, from a higher level understanding, a sex spell and a third party and a karmic is something that needed to happen. Yes. Oh, yes, I said it. It's something. 2 p.m. in Lagos. Hey, Lagos. One day I'm coming over there, Mr. Chalk Chalk. Okay. I'm going to arrange a trip coming to the motherland. Okay. I'm coming. I'm coming back. I'm coming home. So, you'll have to be my tour guide. But, one of the things that I will tell you is that do they have Airbnbs in Lagos? Is that an ignorant question? They, of course they do, right? Um, what I'm gonna tell you is this: you can't get in the middle of whatever the shenanigans are regarding. Awesome. Consider it a manifested future date. All right, Mr. Chalk Chalk. I'll be looking today in my downtime for Airbnbs. Yeah. So I've been really called to do solo travel recently. Like I've been feeling so happy about my life and just everything is going exactly how it should. And yeah, I've been really called. And so there's a couple of places that are calling my soul. So I'm going to be hopefully filming from these places soon. But what I will tell you is this is that you cannot break that energy, okay? But here's what happens. It will break eventually. Eventually it will get broken. Eventually that person that was hot, magical, whether they were older or younger, they will no longer be as open. The sex will wane and the power will break, especially if it was done in a malicious way. If a third party came in and they wanted to take your person, then it inevitably will break. They will no longer find them attractive. So usually what happens is the person that you cared about gets played. And that's probably what you're trying to avoid, divine feminine, by counseling them, right? But they'll find themselves in a situation where the person is not really attracted to them, wanted to use them for money or clout, like Amber Heard. Do you get it? Like actually Amber Heard. I just wanted to use you. I get my comfort from taking other people's materialism. Amber Heard, the Amber Heard experience is brought to you by lower vibrational scorpionic energy. This message is brought to you by lower vibrational scorpionic energy. Scorpio rules other people's money, possession, and taking things. One of the things that was talked about in the trial was when Amber got married to Johnny, that they were on his private island somewhere in the Bahamas, and her father like swept his hand around and said, "Look, Amber, now all this is yours." Crazy. Because Amber wanted to conquer and divide. And it's one of the things that's being talked about in the trial, how invasive Amber was immediately. She used her sexual energy. She used his Stepford wife, I'm baking cookies, taking off your boots shenanigans. It's a whole ruse and a whole spell that she put Johnny under. Yes, he fell for it and he forfeited good sense because his wife, it is on record, did say, "Please don't do this. Please don't leave us. Please don't break this up. Wait. I understand you're having a little midlife. Go do that, but don't like divorce, like don't leave me." She talked to him the way that a divine feminine will, actually. Now, one thing I will say for Johnny is some of the good karma he is getting now is because he honored her and chunked her off 150 million because he knew I tried the F out of you. Okay, it wasn't because he was altruistic. I have goosebumps on my left side of my head. That's about nurturing mother. Yeah, he knew that he tried the mother of his children. He knew that he tried her, and something in his soul said, "I can't even deny her. I'm not even gonna make her fight for this money. Let me give her what she is owed because I tried the shit out of her. I wouldn't marry her because he didn't marry her, but he did marry Amber in record time. That's because he was under a sex spell. I'm not, listen, anybody hearing this could be like, "Oh my God, that sounds crazy. Da, 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 da. Give him accountability." Yes, but I know what he was under because I've seen it happen and I've watched it happen to many clients and I had it happen in my own life. I know what an Amber Heard will come in and look like. And they talked about the Amber Heard invasion, how she started moving all of her friends and family into his condos immediately. Someone that is crazy, low vibrational, and soulless, borderline and histrionic, will take over your life, but they will definitely use sex as a bargaining chip. The smartest thing Johnny ever did was keep his glasses on and say, "I'll never look at you again." And that's what I did in order to divest. Mr. Chalk Chalk asked me before, what made you divest? Well, there's a lot of things, but one of the things that I was guided to with my angels was to stop having sex, to stop sleeping with that girl that was in my life, to stop having flingy flings, because she was a lower vibrational Sagittarius ruled by the Knight of Wands if you read tarot, and that means that they spread their sexual energy everywhere. They have no exclusivity and no care. And this is an archetype. So it doesn't mean that every Sagittarius is this way, but there is an archetype with lower vibrational, immature Sagittarius that they are this way. And it is just known in the metaphysical world. And they don't care. They sleep with everybody. They need attention from everybody. They'll make families. They'll make false families with many people to get whatever needs they need met. So when I say, yeah, the person that I knew fell under a spell, but they participated. They wanted that spell. They created it. They cultivated it. They manifested it. Johnny did too. So I'm not letting him off the hook. I have a whole video coming up about that. He definitely participated and then got shook to his core by a devil, a real demon, a real Jezebel spirit. That's what he was up against. That's what he has been up against. Still to this day, fighting for his life. When an Amber Heard comes in, they will shake you till it's on sight, meaning you will want to fight them by the time it's over, and the spell will break. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't try to go back and have do-overs. Don't try to make them have common sense. I talked to my person. I believe in the rule of three times. I was like, you need to respect me. Oh, okay. Gaslighting, fine. You need to respect yourself. You need to respect your son. Okay, well, 3 times I was done. I was like, well, that's all I've got, folks. But the reason I was so strong in order not to get sucked into the games and to slashing tires and to going insane is because I didn't sleep with her. I didn't take her advances. I didn't let her touch me, really, after she had just touched Jezebel Lindsay. You understand, the person that I was dealing with? I didn't let her go from, she wanted to transfer that energy. Her like devil spirit was like, I've never seen anything like it, y'all. When you talk about seeing real demonic energy, that's what I tell you. It is a spell and it is succubus energy and it's demonic. You can't fight that. There was like the sad realization I had, and I was in my mentor's shoes. It was such a 360 backwards view, but I remember him looking at me when I was under my own sexual energy in a separation we were going through, and it was a different sexual energy than his, and I had a new boo, and he was looking at me sadly because he realized like the battle was lost. Like I was gone. I was gone. And that's how I know, guys. I'm not just telling you because I'm some innocent. I have been under it myself. Fortunately, I transmuted it and it turned out well, but I definitely know what it is to be under the thrall of someone's sexual energy and be like, I don't know what you're saying. You're crazy. Like potato, spaghetti, like you're just not listening. And so I remember looking at my person and being like, you are gone. You are too far gone for me to save. And I had every kind of angel and ancestor come in and tell me and complain and show me and say, we love you. We're going to bless you. We're taking back our blessings from her. We don't know what to do. We're exasperated just like you. But so many of my clients don't get to have all that 5D, 6D, 7D stuff happen, meaning I am privy to seeing things in multiple dimensions, unfortunately or fortunately. It is a gift and the curse, trust me. And what that means is that I understood what I was dealing with actually. A lot of people are just caught up in their emotions and you end up on Snapped. That's why I'm like, take your power back. Do not sleep with that person. I didn't let her even deal with me or touch me, no matter how much she was trying and how much she was like, oh, let's go take a nap. Let's go do this. No, because you still have the energy of the succubus on you, mama. I can't help you. And I'm not going to heal you with my good sexual energy, divine feminine, divine masculine. If you're here, we give great sex. All right. The best. And so I was like, I'm not going to clean you. It's like, when they put the blood through the machine, I was like, I can't clean you, baby. I can't see it for you, baby. I can't help you. What you can do is help yourself. But the spell will break eventually, Amber Heard and Johnny, and they will wake up. So you know what I know for a fact is that Vanessa, his wife, prayed for him. I call her his wife because that was his real wife. He didn't marry her. He didn't do right by her on paper. But now in the spirit world, he understands exactly that he actually had a wife because now he's had a devil. So he knows the difference. Sometimes we need a contrast. That's what I was saying a second ago is it's like a soulmate contract. Sometimes someone else has to come in and out and things have to go bad and go left the way that you think because you need to experience something else and you need to have an appreciation in a way that you never would have. Now I know for a fact that the person that didn't believe me and that came against me and that was steeped in her religiosity while she was a whole succubus and whore herself was 100% understanding, oh, Monette meant me well. Yeah, even if she hates me, she understands and can separate because the sexual energy is broken, and even if it's not broken, she has cleared up, enough to know like, oh, wow, she was trying to tell me that this person was Amber Heard. Yes, I was, but she did not want to hear, and your person won't want to hear it either. And that's what I'm saying, guys. understand that you cannot combat that sexual energy, abandon ship. Best thing I ever did was to walk away, because I stayed in the trenches trying to help her fight another day, and all she was doing was fighting me. And I feel like Vanessa, that's what I was saying, is she prayed for Johnny, and she prayed and she asked, she said, angels, help him see, God, whoever she prayed to, who this woman will really be. And oh my God, is Johnny is taking one for the whole divine masculine team that's ever tried their divine feminine and tried their divine feminine and not wanted to like see the truth of who they were. Johnny is now making sure that this is on site so we can all see what succubus and Jezebel spirit looks like, what histrionic and borderline personality looks like. And the thing that they utilize the most is hypersexuality. That's how they bring you into their abusive communication. As you can see, Amber Heard is abusive. She's actually the abuser. They bring you in. Remember, there's a part in the trial where she was like, take my throat, it's yours. She is succubi Jezebel. It's like textbook. It's so good that this happened so that we could all study it. She was convincing Johnny, she was appealing to his darker angels and his darker demons to literally grab her by the throat primally, which can be done sexually and it can be fun. Y'all, I'm never going to yuck your yum if it's done right and if it's done with consent. But it was in a fight. She wanted him to grab her throat, and she was like, my throat is yours at any time that you want to take it. And he says to her in the recording, there are far better uses that I have for your throat than violence. Because Johnny was not actually violent, because he was waking up, because he was like, I cannot stay silent anymore and go along with your crazy BS. He was like, I want to put my cock in your throat. God bless. I do not want to choke you and hurt you. I do not want to cause you distress. I mean, sorry, y'all, if that hurt your feelings. I mean, can we call a thing a thing? He was like, there are things I could do with your throat, Amber, but it's not to hurt you. And a Jezebel spirit will try to convince you that's okay. This BDSM, borderline X, and listen, with consent with the right person, that's fine. But he was not into it. As you can hear from the recording, this is a personal recording. I don't know whether she was recording or he was. I don't remember who, but it was a private recording. And if you're listening to the trial, I'm sure you've heard it. And he talks about, I could do other things with your throat, mama. It doesn't have to be that. And I was like, he's not wrong. And it was kind of like, it was the first time I saw sanity in him. I was like, yeah, she's actually trying to bait you into abusing her because she gets off on it. A Jezebel spirit, listen, I don't know if you guys ever read the book by Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, where he talks about the pain body. Someone that has borderline personality and all of that has a heavy, heavy, heavy pain body and it needs to be filled. So they will create abusive situations. They will create consternation. They will create fights. They will create confliction because they need to get an energy pull from it. They're energy vampires. Their pain body is empty. So they will make you fight them and then be like, wow, look at you. But really, it's feeding their Jezebel, succubus, demonic energy. Okay. And they use you to do that. So that's what I watched happen. And that's just a little highbrow, for anybody that's into metaphysics and you know who Eckhart Tolle is and you read The New Earth, you know exactly what I'm talking about with the pain body. Amber's pain body is a hungry monster. And in that moment when she's like, Johnny, use my throat. And he was like, actually, I don't want to choke you and I don't want to hurt you and I don't want to take breath and life from you. I'd like to have sex with you, but I don't want to do that. So, and what's so funny is the sex will be retracted once the Jezebel spirit is actually contracted the demons into your person. I know that sounds extra, y'all. I know we're wild this morning. It's wild, but that's the very truth of it. The sex stops once the addiction has been locked in. And then it's no longer fun. One or a party or the other is no longer going to be sexually as active, sexually as interested. So if you've ever watched your man or woman go to someone else and they've been like crazy with lust, looking freshly fucked, looking in your face and lying to you and being like, no, I'm not doing anything. But you know what a freshly fucked face looks like. Excuse my language on this fine morning, but y'all, a thing is a thing, yeah? This is what it looks like when you're dealing with the Jezebel spirit. I'm going to put up a picture on my community page, hold me to it, guys, of Anthony Bourdain. And Asia Argento, which is the woman that caused him to kill himself. Anthony battled with mental illness. Anthony had drug addictions. He was a past addict. Anthony was a love addict too. I could just go on and on. I loved Anthony dearly, like he was a mentor personally for me. I've been watching and following him since Kitchen Confidential in the 90s when he wrote his first book. This guy, pop culture, juggernaut, icon, romantic poet, Cancerian energy. I loved Anthony Bourdain totally. And so I studied this. And when he killed himself, it killed me. But I watched it and I said it was a Jezebel energy. Everything is not to be blamed on a woman. We are very powerful. As I said, we are creators. But what I will tell you is there's a picture where he is freshly fucked. That's why I'm saying this. And he's with her and he's so in love. I mean, the in love that he is palpable. And I will put the picture up, I promise you, because I think you need to see that. When you're looking, and I knew that she had taken over him. She was totally in control in the picture. You can just see it in her energy. If you read energy, you'll know what I'm saying. And he had given himself over to her. That's what you're dealing with when someone is under a sexual spell. There's a visual picture that is captured of Anthony Bourdain. And not long after, she drove him completely insane because what she did was she took her sexual energy to someone else and shamed him and humiliated him. It wasn't that he didn't think that some young woman would want somebody else. He knew and he predicted it. If you watch the documentaries made posthumously about him, he predicted that she would be the death of him. Other people predicted this is not the one. Exactly the same scenario that happened with Johnny Depp and all of the witnesses and friends that said, whoa, Amber came in like a wrecking ball. We knew this was going to be a disaster. It's exactly what happened with Anthony Bourdain, except no one could dissuade him because the sexual energy and the spell casting was too strong. And in Anthony Bourdain's case, unfortunately for him, Amber Heard is just a haphazard addict and demonic spirit. Asia Argento, allegedly, not allegedly, is actually a witch. She's a practicing witch. That's something that she is proud of and has talked about. So she did do dark magic on Anthony, and she actually drove him to the edge of insanity, and he jumped off the cliff. Never forgiving her for it, but that's what a Jezebel spirit is. And that's why I pay so much attention to it. And I teach it to women that are like, I'm going to go into the battle. I'm like, with who? The devil? Because that's who you're battling. And they just have used their vagina as a portal to bring whomever in to the darkest and lowest of vibrations. And Johnny Depp has lost money. He lost his reputation. He lost everything. There is a cost always to that sexual spell. It will cause you to fall and be a ne'er-do-well, meaning you might never even have the same acclaim. Johnny doesn't look the same. Johnny didn't take care of himself either. He has drug use and alcohol use and whatever. So he has to take responsibility for the things that he did to his body. But he aged rapidly and badly. That's another tell that someone's under a sexual spell. They will start to look differently to you. There was a thing that happened with the partner that I once knew where she started to turn ugly to me. I don't know. I'd always thought she was so pretty. And then she started to actually have like these jagged, harsh features, and she started to age rapidly. And at first I thought, oh, this is maturing and fine lines and all the, lovely things you will say. But we are the same age by a few months off. I was a little bit older than her. And I was like, it shouldn't be going this way. It's not going this way for me, and I wasn't partying as hard as her and all the rest of it. So she did have actual what do they call it, physical and biological things happening that were different than I did. But yeah, it was because she was around the succubus, and it was absolutely changing the structure of her face. I didn't recognize her. It was really strange. I never told her that, but I remember looking at her and being like, who are you? Because she was rapidly changing, because she was turning into the succubi, and that's what they do. Johnny is the same. Look at his rapid decline in face from the time he got with Amber to who he is today. Anthony Bourdain. Yes, these people were aging, sure. But listen, there's something that happens when they get around energy that's not pure, and it changes their facial features and their structures, because narcissist energy, and what happens is a narcissist starts to become more beautiful. So whoever is the person that is sucking their energy, they start to rise in acclaim. Asia Argento started filming episodes of God, it's so funny. I want to say No Reservations. That was his first show. The show, it was I can't think of it. It was on CNN, guys. It's me a fan. It's No Reservations for me always. But the show that he did on whatever, the show where he traveled and was winning all the awards, and he was magical. So he filmed she filmed that and was allowed to be an executive producer, and it's talked about in the documentary what a disaster it was, how Tony let her do things that would have never happened to interrupt really poignant scenes of connection with people in different countries as they were sharing their really hardship stories. And she just wanted clout, and she got it off of his back, and she started to rise to fame, and she was part of the Me Too movement, and Tony was literally pumping energy as an empath into her to make her light shine brighter, and she cut his fucking throat. That is what your Jezebel spirit will do. They will bloodlet you and fill a moat and be like, well, what did you think was going to happen? That's why you're trying to warn your person. You're like, no, 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 they're going to bloodlet you. They're going to fill, they're going to feed you to the alligators. But the truth is, oh, bloated alligator. I keep getting that about my ex-person, that they're a bloated alligator. Now I don't know if she's dead or not. I really don't know, but what I will tell you, she's dead to me. But I'm saying actually she may have really got herself in danger. But what I will tell you is that this energy is what will happen because they bet a perfect stranger give them the everything, the kingdom, what he should have given Johnny Depp to his wife, his actual real wife that loves him, vetted him, and stood by his side even now. He discarded her, and she still wrote a letter of recommendation for him and said, I love you, and he's a good person. I don't know this person that he became with Amber. And that's another thing regarding sexual energy and toxicity. Sometimes you will get with a partner who will bring out the worst that you can be. They will literally ignite the worst parts of your energy. So you can be in a situation and have an abusive situation, and then it can never happen again. Like, let's think about Rihanna, right? So Rihanna was with Chris Brown, and they had that horrible night and many fights that we know happened before and after that. And Rihanna, we saw her struggle with going back and forth. But we've seen Rihanna in many relationships, and never has that been to that level of abuse, in any case, not even close. That's because whatever soul contract that her and Chris had brought out the absolute worst in each other and in her and in him. And she was the victim. But what I'm telling you is she will never have that experience again, because that was a soul contract she met and she needed to have, which I hate for her, but she did in order to know, don't ever go back. Don't look back, and know your worth. Sometimes someone will drag us through the dirt just so that we can know our worth. And in the case of Amber Heard and Johnny, in the case of Asia Argento and Tony, that is exactly what happened. They met somebody that was not their energetic match. Their lower vibrational self, it matched them. She loved drinking and a lot of coke and partying, and she loved to smoke, and she was super cool and all the things Johnny fancied himself to be when he wasn't, having his midlife crisis energy. And he was like, oh, this is totally me. And to a lower vibration, it was. The person that I had to be like, hey, Jude, this is going to go bad. Let's take this sad song and try to make it better, was matched better religiously. You know how that sometimes you can say, like, someone, well, how could they be a better match to me? The person that she ended up with was exactly her soul match in a lower dirty vibration. That was exactly the person that she was comfortable being. They were both liars and scammers, and they were both mean girls and both biters. And what I mean by biters, I was talking about the archetype of a biter last night, which is someone who has to have control at all costs, and if they can't, then they're going to hurt you. They're going to sink their teeth into you and cause physical pain and try to draw blood. That's the archetype of a biter. We're talking about like when you're a kid and you're a biter, so not in any sexual way, but her and that person were exactly the same in ways that I was not. I was the light side of her energy when she could ascend and be better and be free. But the part she was more comfortable with was never going to be me. It was always going to be someone who was debaucherous and reveled in their sexuality. My sexuality helped her ascend. My sexuality broke her free. My sexuality was healing in so many ways. It didn't bring her to her knees. The succubus energy did. The difference between me and her was immense, but she was more comfortable because she could stay a kid, Peter Pan syndrome, if you will. And a lot of guys will choose that. My person was in masculine energy, but a lot of guys will choose that over common sense, a relationship, longevity, all of the rest of it, because they're like, oh, here I can be primal and I can be free. Oh, you'll get to be primal, all right. And you'll be so primal that you'll be begging to see the light, because you will be buried in the dirt like a mole. You will lose absolute and total control. You will lose control over the narrative. You will not be around your kids. You will lose the respect of your community. You will lose your health and immunity. Come on, it's so deep. People think that it's a game. That sexual energy exchange is no game. And that's why, if you know that your person's triangulating you in a third party, and that third party isn't just benign, because sometimes people can sleep with someone and it's not a big deal. But when you get hooked into an Amber Heard, that's like, you will be mine. Just walk away, because it is education time, and not for you, Divine Feminine, for the masculine who's not listening to you, who thinks you're evil, who's treating you cruel, who thinks that you have no idea what you're talking about. Let them learn and walk it out. Johnny did, and unfortunately, so did Anthony. There is a cost for not listening to your divine feminine energy. Anthony Bourdain had a wife and a child. And yes, they divorced and we move on to other relationships. But she even advised him, this is not it. What are you doing? Everyone can see when your masculine is wild or out of control or wiling out, as we like to say. And that documentary is a fantastic thing if you want to see it really play out. If you want to know what it looks like when someone's under a sexual spell and how the whole world can see it and no one's everyone's speaking up. Another thing, reverse it, Bad Vegan. Have you guys watched that on Netflix? That girl, I don't think it was just a sexual spell. She was under a lot of spell. But Sarma, she was definitely under a spell. Everyone else was like, this guy's a con artist and creepy and not even good looking. And what is happening? And even towards the end of the documentary, she's like, we were still having sex, but it was this weird thing where he was like on my body and like just taking my energy. I don't think she was just shirking the blame. I think she was really describing what it is to be sleeping with someone who you know drives you insane, who has ruined your life, and yet you still have an addictive attachment to sexual exchange. It's a powerful thing. He was the succubus and Jezebel energy, so it's not always men that are subject to women's energy. A man can be a Jezebel spirit as well. So if you guys watch Bad Vegan, I'm giving you guys really good food and examples. If any of you guys are in the trenches of like, I'm going to save my person, you don't save people like that. They have to save themselves. Or what happens is they get to rock bottom where it's so terrible that they're in the dregs of hell. Sarma had to go to jail. This like highfalutin high society went to Wharton lady cooking vegan food and almond milk and like being on the forefront and the cutting edge of vegan traditions and trends had to end up in jail with the sugar mama whose breast she slept under because she's a survivor. I'm not mad at her, but she's a survivor and she had to figure out how to survive in a jail. That woman should have never been in jail. It was part of her soul contract, obviously, or it would have happened. We choose our own adventures, guys. But what I'm telling you is a lot of that happened because she did not believe what was before her eyes, which was that she's being highly manipulated by a crazy person who was just like a gambling addict. The simplicity of the debauchery of the person to take her on this wild Mr. Toad's wild ride is insane to me because at the end of the day, he was just a lousy gambling addict who had started his con in Tampa, Florida, with a little redneck girl. God bless her soul. She's adorable. If you watch Bad Vegan, she was like, wow, he made a big time. It's just hilarious to me. He was just a straight up con and a louse and a gambler. He wasn't magical. He wasn't magnetic. He was using her resources. Jezebel's spirit loves to, one, break up family, loves to stop any real connections and marriages, and two, it loves to own and dominate and control, whether it's in a man or a woman. Know that what they're after is your person's soul, and they'll get it through sex. You're not breaking that up. But I will tell you, you will probably have the last laugh, as unfortunate as it is, or as bittersweet as it is, because I think for Anthony Bourdain's wife, there is no laughing. She wants her friend back. She wants the father of her child back. Her child wants her dad back. I could cry about that because that's how serious it is. When I was dealing with it and trying to pull my person out of the trenches and she was fighting me and telling me that I was a bitch, I was thinking of Anthony. I didn't tell her that because she wouldn't have listened anyway. But I knew that it could end with someone losing their life or an STD that would cause you to lose your life forever or just a reputation that would cause you to never be in the same way. Oh, it was so serious. And I cared about her so much. And she just thought I would, and she turned on me as they will do. They turn into rabid animals. They have rabies and they turn against you. And that's what Anthony did. He fired people that he'd worked with for 20 years because of some new poom poom that had him on his ears and off his center. He fired people that he loved. Sarma fired people and ignored people in her restaurant business that built her up. And Johnny Depp outcasted the woman that he actually loved that stood up for him. Cost him 150. Not mad at her about that, but she had its back. Now he knows what real love is and what real love isn't. It was a soul contract that had to be fulfilled. That's why I said don't get in the middle of it, guys. Yes, you'll want to. Instinctively, you'll want to save them, but you can't. You have to release them to The Kraken. Release the Kraken. Amber is the Kraken, if ever there was. A Jezebel spirit is such a pervasive and hungry spirit, and it's relentless. And even if it's like podunk, like my person, it wasn't high levels of espionage or anything that we were talking about with Anthony or Sarma the Bad Vegan or Johnny Depp. These people live high profile lives. This was just some redneck foolery, and it was still Jezebel spirit energy. It was still intense, and I'm sure that for that person it was still intense, great energy sexually initially and all of that stuff. It was delicious. She was attracted and adapted and whatever. I knew the person wasn't attracted to her. I knew how it was going to end. I knew that even if she you know what was so funny specifically for my person? My person was a commitment phobe. And I don't know, she just used it as a tool to make people more attracted, or you know what it is. We all want what we can't have. So I don't know what her real motivation was for it. I do know, like on an intrinsic soul level, and we did a lot of work in excavating. But what was so brilliant about this, the same thing with Johnny, that the Jezebel spirit in her life got her to commit, which is not what she wanted. She actually, the life that she committed to is a life that would, I know personally, have made her crawl up in a ball and want to die. Like she would have hated, oh my God, I'm going to like show up to kids' birthdays and I'm going to, like, she did that and she resented her own child as she did it. Like she always felt like, oh, I gave up my life and my youth and whatever, you know. And she had a lot of resentment and was trying to like live a second youth life and all this other wild shit, immature stuff that I didn't agree with. But fine, that's your journey to go on. I wasn't a mom at her age. I don't understand what she had to forfeit. I don't know the pain that she went through, so I always tried to be empathetic about that. But the Jezebel spirit was fully entrenched in a full old suburban life with a husband and the whole thing, and had many people on her roster and on her team. I loved it, girl. Y'all, when I tell you though, once you get out of like trying to be in your fifis and save them, just sit back and enjoy the show. Because I was just like, this is the shit. This is the shit show if ever there was. And she got my person to commit, similar to how Amber Heard got Johnny to commit. After for 14 years, he had this beautiful model on his side. 25 years he knew Vanessa. And I think they were together for 14 or whatever. And for all those years, he had this person that was like, ride or die. I'm gonna have your kids. I'm gonna follow you through everything. I will help you in your career. When every person thinks you're a heartthrob, I will stay near and not be jealous. Just like absolutely rode for him. And he wouldn't marry her. He was like, what do we need paper for? Marry Amber immediately, right? So a lot of us have been through that. And that's because of the sexual energy. It doesn't mean that Vanessa wasn't sexing him, right? No, it means that he needed that little afternoon delight. And the devil was like, here, sign here. We're going to give it to you. And it's going to cost you. What is he countersuing her for? 100 million. She sued him for 50. She's countersuing. Crazy time. It cost him something to play in Amber's paradigm shifting sexual energy. It cost him immensely. He will never outlive the stigma of this. Yes, people will love him and he'll reclaim. He's also in his second Saturn return. That's another thing. So he is having this kind of rebirth, and people love him again, and he's kind of getting it back. He did do some good things along the way. He was actually abused. I see how it's playing out for him karmically, but he made a wrong decision and he had to pay for it. You don't escape your karma. He is paying for some of the ways that he treated his wife terribly and cast her aside and didn't give her what she bloody well deserved the whole time. It never fails. And so I can't simp for Johnny and be like, oh, it's so sad. No, you should have treated your wife better. Your divine feminine, the one God gave you, the one that God molded for you. It's okay to fall in love with other people. And guess what? Like I said before in other videos, she is married now because within a year or so, she wanted marriage. She always acted like she didn't. She would write op-eds like, it's okay. Johnny told me to put on his heart. I don't need a ring. It's hilarious. She wanted a ring and she got it. Message to my divine feminines out there who are like, oh my gosh, it'll never happen for me. The person tried me and they went off with this Jezebel spirit energetically. Yeah. And then what happened next? You got proposed to, you got your best, you got better than you ever had. She is now with some multimillionaire. She's fine. She's got money. She's caked up. Johnny made sure, but she's now with some multimillionaire director or something who married her within a year because that's what she deserved. The universe said, I see your worth. Now that you see your worth and you tried to save him and you tried to help him and you stood beside him, God bless you. Now we're going to compensate you for pain and suffering and give you exactly what you deserve the whole time, but we're sorry that you went through that. And now Johnny has to pay the price on the back end. And yes, he may redeem his image to some degree, but it will always forever be tainted with the Amber Heard energy. It is a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. So that's what I'm saying, guys. When you are in the trenches of that, please know you will get your compensation for your pain and suffering, and they will get drugged drug and their degradation for not trusting that you're always this loving energy that just wanted the best for them, you know? And what I was saying is that I was watching that happen with my person, and I thought, oh, this is so sad for you. But after a while I was like, but this will also teach you, you will learn so many lessons. And that's why the third party comes in. And doulas, goals, and guides is a channel here, and she does a great talk off about the third party and why it happens and how it's supposed to happen. Sometimes it needs to happen to get you on your path or to teach you a lesson that you couldn't teach them. Some of us were too nurturing and too sweet and too nice, and we gave too much, and we were paradise for those people. I know that Johnny cried himself to sleep many nights thinking, oh my God, why didn't I treat Vanessa right when Amber was knocking at his door and cutting off his finger? This bitch was wild. Wild. And a lot of your masculines went to the wild side and they thought it was great. Wow, wild thoughts. They loved it. But I think if they're watching the trial, maybe some of them can relate. You don't get to go back. He can't have Vanessa back. I'm sure he tried. I promise you he did. Quietly, things that we'll never know. But she realized her worth and she was like, I told you so, Johnny. I told you this was not going to go well. I don't know that it's the first time he ever had an affair on her. I do think that she was standing beside him. But Amber, see, when a Jezebel spirit comes in, they want everything. That was Amber. I'm sure Johnny had his dalliances, but for whatever reason, that was the meetup that he needed to realize, oh, you committed treason against your divine feminine, and you gave this next woman everything so quickly, no prenup, no real energy, let her fight you and everything. When Vanessa was like, I'll put on your heart, Johnny. I don't need a ring. It's okay. The ring doesn't mean a thing, but it meant a lot. It means a lot to have someone honor you and respect you for the work that you've put in. If you are dealing with some Jezebel spirit, it's not a battle you want to be in. It doesn't mean that you're weaker than them. It doesn't mean no, you're not. You're actually stronger if you walk away and you realize that what you've got is your sanity as you walk out that door. And stop exchanging sexual energy with your person. I don't care how good it is. I don't care if you want to go back for more. I don't care if it's the best sex you ever had. Do not exchange that sexual energy with them because it will leave you down bad. It leaves you down bad. Had I not pulled away my resources energetically in many ways, it wasn't just sexually, but I stopped feeding her in all ways. Emotionally, spiritually, I was just watching her. It was like it was a standoff, and I was just watching her make a mess of her life. And I decided that when I did that in order to get my life back, my angels guided me every step of the way, but pulling away my sexual energy was the first step, because we made magic, and I would be able to set her free, and I would be able to heal her. And what she would do was steal that energy from me and take it to her Amber Heard. Yeah. So I knew my worth, and I was like, I don't care if I'm celibate for the rest of my life. I don't care if I never see boobies for the rest of my life. What I'm not going to do is feed you and this demon too. Not doing it. Not going to do it. Can't get it done. And that's when I began to, well, it wasn't fun. I'm not going to lie to you, but that's when I began to see the sun. I began to see my way out of the dark hole of abject control and narcissism and all kinds of other toxic things. She became much worse of a person connected to the person who was really like her. And that was what I was saying earlier. It's hard to hear that someone else is a better match for your person. She was. Lindsay was a much better match for the person that I knew. I was not going to be evil and a scammer too. I wasn't a cheater in the way that they were in any degree or capacity. I'm very honest. I'm very free. I'm very forthright with who I am. Everybody in my life knows me. There are no secrets. I like who I am. I live out loud. They love secrecy. They lived in that. They love the shroud, scorpionic energy, low vibration. So that wasn't me. I'm out to my family. I'm everything I say I am. I am whatever my rhymes say, as Pusha T says. And as Eminem says, I am whatever I say I am. And if I wasn't, then why would I say I am? I have no compunction or regrets. I live out loud and I move on. What's next? What I wasn't going to do was live under rocks with them and creating havoc and ruining lives. I was like, why? This is not my foe. You are my foe. You are not my friend. It was very clear for me. But that happened because I stopped sharing sexual energy with her. I know it's crazy because you like it's a friend. It's confusing. But y'all have been in those situations. Sometimes you have some loosey-goosey relationships. But it was one of the best things I ever did. And that's what I will recommend to you. Stop. And if they are in love with their new boo, and they're not in love, they're in lust, okay? I used to actually kind of like tease the person after I was completely detached and be like, I know you in love. It's the best love you ever had, because I knew it wasn't love. I knew that it was a whole attack, a spiritual attack. But she was non-committal, so that was a trigger for her, and it was just fun. Towards the end, we kittens, I'm a Leo, we play with our food when we're done. Once I was done with her, I was then just like toying with her, because we all have egos, and she'd hurt mine too. So I would tell her like, oh, you're so in love, this is your boo, make her your boo forever, be betrothed forever, because I knew that commitment was not something she really wanted to do. Under the sexual spell, she probably betrothed her life, soul, and her blood to this person. But I knew that when she woke up and the sex was over and the connection was over and the attraction was over and the drugs had dried up and the money had dried up and I was gone. That's another message. Remove yourself from the third party. It's no more fun. Period. Then they get each other, and now it's all the doldrums of life, and it's the fights, and it's the why won't you show up, and I need more money, and why won't you make it right, and I'm gonna kill myself. It's no longer fun when they can siphon off of your good, juicy, sexy, divine feminine energy. So I knew the commitment was like the thing that would undo her, and I watched her give that commitment easily to the next person, just like Johnny did with Amber, where he wouldn't with Vanessa. So in this case, I was Vanessa. You guys are Vanessa too, in the trenches for 20 plus years. Yes, with your boo. And then they're like, next, who are you? And that was exactly what happened. And I was like, fascinating, interesting. Somehow you figured out how to do all of the things that I always required, asked, and wanted of you, but you gave it to someone else because you felt like they were better and they better suited you. Well, the devil's going to show you how well they suit you. So that was something that you just have to, like when you're watching it happen. I trolled her a little bit. Like I said, I kind of toyed with my food, and I was like, yeah, this is your person. You should stay with her for the rest of your life. Like, yeah, for sure. Because I knew that one day she would wake up like an Autobot. Like she would like come alive, like the sexual energy would wear off, and she would be sitting at like some park or at the pond in the holler. She'd be riding on a pontoon, and she'd be like, what the fuck am I doing here? But she would be obligated and ensnared. That's the word. A Jezebel spirit wants to ensnare you. So now you are giving your money to somebody that you're no longer attracted to, that you think is a nightmare demon monster, like Johnny did when he was like, I'm not taking my glasses off and I'm not going to look at you. And she would be like helping raise somebody else's kids when she didn't even want to raise hers properly. You see, I knew how that would play out. Actually, my angels told me, and I'm not wrong. I knew she would wake up one day and be like, oh my God, I am committed, which was her worst nightmare, to someone who was not committed to her. Her other worst nightmare. She wanted everybody to be in love with her, like a lot of our toxic masculines that were Peter Pan, didn't want to grow up. So she loved for everybody to be like clamoring over her and in love with her and obsessed with her. Now she's obsessed with someone who doesn't give a fuck about her, Amber Heard, who just wanted to use her resources. Amber Heard just wanted to take over her kingdom, whatever that was. Amber Heard. I mean, it was a redneck kingdom, but nevertheless, Amber Heard, and she's now committed, and there's no sex. All the things that got her in the beginning don't exist anymore. Now she's just like someone's like side whore. It's crazy, and I knew it was gonna play out like that, but it was me she attacked when I was like, girl, do you realize that you just married somebody? You did. Cheers, happily ever after. Sometimes it ends like that. Maybe they'll just live a life in the doldrums. She'll never be happy in that connection, even though she could lie to her and she could lie to herself and whatever. I knew how it would end. It wouldn't end well. Or even if they divorced and they separated and it was tumultuous and terrible and chaotic, it would leave her scarred in some way that was irreparable. That's just how it plays out. You don't leave without being unscathed from a Jezebel spirit. And that's why I'm saying stay away from it. Don't go near it. Don't try to be into it. It's like two dogs fighting. Just shoot the hose at them, and the hose is spiritual energy and prayer. Stay far away, because you don't want the rabies, you don't want the tears, you don't want them to bite you because they're confused and crazy, and that's what will happen. I did not want any demon babies in me. I was like, okay, you love her, I love it, you like it, I love it, bye Felicia. That's it. And I think that's what happened with Vanessa too. And the thing about it is in the beginning, it's not anything that is happening that you can control. It controls you. So as much as I say take your power back, the power of that sexual connection to the Jezebel spirit, because it's the only thing they have. A Jezebel spirit is utterly worthless and has no merit, is not a good, like Amber Heard's not a good actress. I think we're all seeing that, right? She's not good at her craft. The only thing she's probably good at is that Stepford wife, take off your boots, I'll bake you cookies, crazy sex in the beginning, and then that stops too. Then she's degrading Johnny. You're fat, you're old, you're this and that, which is exactly what a Jezebel spirit will do. And it happened with my person too. She was getting berated by this person, talked to crazy by this person, and I was like, wow, that's fascinating. I hope the sex was worth it, because you're not going to get the same sex ever again. Anyway, they are not your friends. Divest and move on, and pray for them, and then watch the show from far away. Pop some popcorn. Maybe if you're lucky like Vanessa, you get 150 million to help you move on. I could sleep well at night with that for compensation, but my angels have my back, you know. Also, another thing that happened too, I told you guys, I've got to pop off here soon because I get ready for my next client, but ancestrally, I talked about her mother coming in and apologizing to me, which she really did. I don't care what other siblings that are alive that still could never believe that happened, but it happened. It really did. And what I got was a lot of her blessings. She was like in line to receive some ancestral and energetic blessings. So maybe this is something that somebody here needs to know. And she was forfeited. She was kind of cut off from her lineage in a way, because her ancestors were disgusted with her. She may pray to them, talk to them, try to communicate with them. I don't know if they communicate with her back. I'm not in her life. I have no idea. But what I do know is that there were things that were to be given to her. I will not name them here, but there were things that were to be given to her that I received in my life. Like, I received things that I know specifically that were supposed to be for her, because I talked about it with her when we were still on good terms. And then she turned her back and decided to be a worm and decided to squirm into the Jezebel spirit energy and have that experience. And then it was like gifted to me. She now will live in a version of poverty for her. I don't care if she makes money or she'll forever be in the matrix. She was just about to be on the brink of being able to make it. And one of the things I will say here is that she will forever live in the matrix, which is that she'll always have to work for somebody and hate her job and just all the things that, you know, none of us really want to do to some degree. Some of us can love the jobs that we do or whatever. There are certain things financially specifically that were gifted to me. And it was given to me really by her mom, her crossover mother, who was like, you know what? My daughter was wild, she was wild, and I'm embarrassed, and I know you tried to help her, and thank you. And it was weird. I didn't know that could happen. I did not know that could happen in the afterlife. Her caretakers in this life hated me. Hashtag religious parents, narcissistic spirits, racist, fox watchers, whatever. They did not like me, and they did not get me, and they did not understand me, and they probably thought I was the devil. They didn't realize I was the leveler. I was the person that kept her balanced. I was her Vanessa in many ways. I was the person that kept her sane and kept her like not jumping off the edge of the cliff all the time. They will never give me credit for that. They will never know that, and that's fine. They don't need to. But the one that matters, the one that crossed over, did and will do, and that will be the same for you. If you have that situation, not all of us do, but ancestors will bless you, and I was greatly blessed and continue to be. I got a lot of her quote unquote superpowers, if you will, because I set her free. But I did it with grace and with love. Actually, it wasn't just hate. I could have been so much meaner, and I wasn't, because I realized the ass whipping this Jezebel spirit's about to give to you is it will be punishment enough. You know, don't pile on. You know, think about the Dave Chappelle thing where the guy just got attacked and then he comes out with the arm that's backwards and all lumped up. That was a pile-on. They're going to get beat up by their demons. They're going to get beat up by their guilt and all the rest of it. I was not there to cause her pain. That Jezebel spirit was, but that was not my job. So I did not wish any of that on her. And so her being deprived of her own birthrights and her own giftings, and then being given to me, a perfect stranger who doesn't share her DNA, who is not in her energy and her family. I don't know what worse punishment there could be. I didn't even know a thing like that could happen, but here I am. God is good. So anyway, that's what you should know. Let's see here. Oh, we got tons of comments, and I've got 7 minutes till my client. All right, we're gonna do this. Hold on, let me get a sip of water. All right. 2 p.m. here. Sydney says, for real, shaking my head. Chalk says she's giving me Meghan Markle. Chalk, did we meet because of Meghan Markle? Absolutely. That's another Jezebel spirit. She's doing a slow burn, but we're going to see. That's still going to implode. Macinia says, I'm grateful for this Amber and Johnny explanation. It's so spot on. It helps me. Awesome, Macinius. Yeah, I'm going to be doing more videos on it because I'm fascinated like we all are, but there's so many rich, delicious lessons in there. Okay, so stay tuned for that, Macinius. I didn't know this about Anthony. I'll have to look into it. Please do watch a documentary on Netflix, okay? It's fantastic. Chaksha says, I have some cheeky questions, LOL. Rain says, good morning, Mo and Evolvers. Hey, I love you, Rain. Evolvers indeed. Momo's Happy Place says, good morning. Masinius, wow, a black magic woman. So tough. Hey, Masinius, I don't know who you're talking about. Are you talking about Anthony Bourdain's person? I don't know. Momo's Happy Place. Hearing about the Depp case shines a light into the future timeline for me. If I would have stayed. Interesting. Momo's Happy Place. Wild. Thank you, angels, for a glimpse of confirmation that taking the high road is divinely guided. It is. I'm so happy for that comment. I love that comment so much, Momo's Happy Place. It is divinely guided. You won't think it at the time. I was orchestrated and told to move in certain ways from my angels that saved my life. It saved my life, and it saved me from taking somebody else's, y'all. I'm telling you, not a violent person at all, but I've never been disrespected. It's a disrespect for me, sis. I was never disrespected the way that person disrespected me, and they would have loved for me to be caught up in some white trash energy and be like, this black girl accosted us or whatever. I was like, my angels were like, they're not even getting that off your back, sis. They're gonna accost each other and kill each other. So they said, get out of it. It's not your business. So take the high road at all times. That's what we do, and it is divinely guided. You won't think it at the time. You might even judge yourself for being weak, like, oh, I punked out. I should have done this. I should have said that. Nope. Every single thing that happened, my angels showed me, and I'm so glad I get to teach this to you guys. They let me see it in the 3D, 5D stance. They were like, here's the choice you have. If you decide to act like your father did, you're going to end up in this jail. If you decide to just go up into the bathroom and throw up, we're going to get you out of this and you will prevail. You'll be blessed abundantly. We're going to give you everything you ever wanted beyond what your wildest dreams, and we will set you free, and she will be in her misery. It was very real, guys. And because I am spiritual, I did hear it in all of those ways. I had options, just like you do, from moment to moment, from day to day, to behave a certain way with her. And I chose the high road every time. And I will tell you, you guys have heard me say my ego still regrets not cussing her out. But even that was divinely guided, because she needed to know what a real relationship was about from start to finish. Even though she didn't acknowledge it, honor it, or treat it as such, I dealt with it as such. And because of that, I was given much. Yeah. It's a head who wears the crown thing. It's hard to make those good decisions sometimes. But I was given, because I treated her with respect to the end, though she did not treat me that way, not even as a friend. I was given incredible grace, love, and kindness in return. And it continues, just these comments from you guys. This is part of what I get back for being kind. What you give out comes back to you. If you give out misery, that will come back to you too. Let's see here. It is divinely guided. Momo's Happy Place says, I felt the jealousy of the relationship, and I had to bow out because I knew she wanted him all to himself, and she gets to deal with the same cycle because I'm tired. Yes, I love that. It's true. Give your person to the other person. I was like, girl, you could have her. You could have her. She's nothing but a hot mess headache. And it's been that way for a long time. I've been taking care of her energetically, and I'm tired. I was tired. Spelled the same way you said it. I was tired. Momo's Happy Place. I was tired. I was so exhausted with it. And I was like, I'm not doing this with you anymore. Also, you're horrible. Also, she's horrible. Y'all really do deserve each other. When she told me, she was like, this is the best friend I ever had and all that stuff, it hurt my little ego feelings at first, and then my angel said, really look at it. It is the best friend she ever had. They're both the same kind of terrible person. They deserve each other, and not in that like you deserve each other and I'm sad about it. They were like, let them be with each other. Like, you have a whole life of happiness ahead of you. Aren't you tired of taking care of this mentally ill person and fighting with this other bitter bitch that's never had any accomplishment in her life besides having kids that she didn't want by different guys that she lies about? I mean, come on. It's not even a place that was for me. Masonia says, I'm learning so much right now. And Momo's Happy Place says, and yes, I saw Bad Vegan in a day, and you did do an awesome video breakdown the next day. Message. Thank you. Good. So if I forgot I even did one, guys. I put out a lot of content. I forget sometimes I even put out content. All right, I got 2 more minutes here with you guys. Rain, my God, that's what she did and is doing. Exactly, Rain. I get it. That is the lesson, but it hurts like hell. It does hurt like hell. I'm never going to tell you it doesn't. It sucks. It hurts. It's horrible. But I promise you, Rain, one day you will be disconnected. I promise you, Rain, I'm speaking it over you. Egypt too, my love, right? You're going to be disconnected, and one day you're going to be standing in your manifestation, and you'll understand why you had to divest from that crazy situation. Okay, my love? All right, Rain says, I realize I'm stronger and my light and energy is more important. Amen. Amen. Amen and amen. Chalk says, do you have any advice on how to improve sexual energy? I feel like mine is very bland and soft, and that's why people don't find me attractive. Chalk, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. I will be coming back on here, and we will do a whole session about that. I'm going to come on so you can see my face. Get your life, sir. What does it mean when someone screams, I love you during sex? It happened once, and it threw me off. Well, it means that the sex is really good. We get really passionate. We'll say all kinds of wildness during sex. We can examine that more. Oh, so juicy of a question, Chalk. Thank you for your messages. Oh, you're so welcome. Oh, y'all saw me with my little bonnet on this morning. Excuse me. All right, my most happy place, guys. I gotta go. I got a client waiting, and I've got 30 seconds. I love you so much. So good sharing energy with you. Come back and join me next time. I'm going to answer your questions, Chalk, and we will continue to evolve together. I'm going to do a whole session just on sexual energy, okay? Because it's one of my favorite things. These are a few of my favorite things. Come back and join me next time, and we'll continue to evolve together.